No Vegito? The Global Dokkan Campaign 2025 reveals have the community in an uproar, so it's time for another community response. How's it, everybody? Celtic Link here. We got another Dokkan Battle video for you here today. We have the reveals for the Global Dokkan Campaign 2025 units at the Super Saiyan God Super Saiyan Goku and Super Saiyan God Super Saiyan Vegeta, and the Super Saiyan Rose and Zamasu. Both units are tag units who seemingly have an active skill that fuses into their respective fusion characters, launches an attack, and then goes back to normal, depending on which unit you're in. Now, this has seemed to set off a lot of different people, as many people did expect both of these units to have permanent fusions, or at least fusions that last for the 4 turns, a la the 10th year anniversary card. So we decided to tackle this discussion here with you guys. We put out several different posts on both Twitter as well as our community posts, and just trying to get a feel for where people are at with this reveal. So we're going to hop on in. We're going to start off with Twitter, then we'll hop over to our community posts, and then we'll hop into Discord, right? We're going to hit all of these replies because I know not everybody's on Twitter, right? So a lot of people like to respond in Discord, so we want to make sure we hit everybody here. So let's take a look at the first response, right? First response from Razor. People are doom posting while contemplating what I just saw, right? So, right, Razor seems to be cool with whatever is going on because all he got was a cool Vegito animations, and I get that. I completely understand that. I do want to back up a second here and say that I will not give my thoughts until the very end, so if you want to hear kind of what I'm thinking on this, I'll put that at the very, very end, and my job here is just to highlight the voices because I know a lot of people have many different opinions about this subject. Now, nice here, we got Erode Sama. He was kind enough to reach out and comment here. Great YouTuber, by the way. Check him out. I think I'll be nice. I'll link his channel in the description because, yeah, awesome. He makes some really great content. But let's see. Honestly, not a fan of the Future Saga being a theme, considering we had it in 2023. But more importantly, I wish they would stop taking hype moments that were fusions that take place, Fizz, Kale, and Caulifla, for example, and not make them fuse, right? I know a lot of people were disappointed that Kale and Caulifla ended up not fusing, and so much so that it really did end up overshadowing how good they actually are, and so I completely understand where that feeling comes from. Vegito Blue should have also been a thing, when the same with Zamasu. Don't make tag characters not fuse when the biggest moment of those characters together required a fusion. I want to order a cheeseburger without cheese. That's kind of what he's pointing at. That's funny. That's funny. I get that. No, I will say that I completely understand where this is coming from, right? If you were gonna do tag characters, and we're not going to make him fuse, let's go a different route, or hey, give us the fusion. So completely understand where that's coming from. Meepo here, I think they just saved the juice for Daima Part 2, so therefore saving the stones for Daima Part 2. Now, I do agree with this statement. I do hope they go that route. However, right, Omatsu did specifically say this was Break Through the Future and that the theme would sort of be centered around the tags. So I don't know how they're gonna fit that in if they do decide to broaden it out and just say Breakthrough, and that's how they do it. I mean, that's how they can link in Daima. I mean, I hope whatever they do, right, in Part 2, it'll be awesome, right? I have a few ideas of what I would like to see, but it's definitely, I kind of understand, right? A lot of people are now just like, all right, well, I'm just gonna save it for Daima, because that's the big thing people were wanting for this celebration, right? So completely understand that. Jaren, really excited. No further explanation needed. All right, awesome. Hey, Joe Saiyan. Shout out to Joe Saiyan, another great smaller YouTuber out there. I will link his channel in the description down below. You guys should check these guys out. They are awesome guys. Joe does a lot of good hidden potential builds. Arguably, I'd say they're probably better than mine, to be honest. But he does some real good hidden potential build videos, so I definitely recommend checking them out. The problem he has is with the theme of the celebration. It's still future theme based on how Omatsu described it. That's what I was just talking about, right? If we actually look at the picture here, Omatsu specifically says represents the harsh warriors who fought through the future by confronting powerful foes. So to me, and seemingly to Joe, this does scream that this is solely centered around Future Saga, although they could broaden that out for part 2. Copium is telling me to have stupid hope because Daima units have time travelers for whatever reason. This is a good point. Either way, this theme could have waited. All right, yeah, I get that. Yeah, it's the theme is just broad enough that we can kind of go anywhere with part 2, assuming that by the future just meant for part 1, right? DBC Link still gonna summon, but it is a bit of a letdown. Yeah, I feel that. I feel the same way. It's like, I'll be summoning for Vegito just because I want that Trunks animation, right? Like, if we actually look at the whole unit, right? The second tag is supposed to be Vegeta, and it does seem like they have an active skill, which is Goku, Vegeta, and Trunks. And I'm going to guess that this is their we won't know until we know, but I'm gonna guess that their active skills, the Kamehameha, Final Flash, and Masenko, that they all do at the very ends. As sort of their little last-ditch effort to take down Zamasu. I actually have always wanted that as a unit. I kind of think it should be a unit, but I mean, if it's just an active skill here, that's fine too. Like honestly, like I was going to talk about this at the very end, but honestly, like if they weren't going to fuse, a really cool option they could have done, right, is, right, have Trunks in both parts of the cards, and, right, one is a tag Goku and Trunks, and then the other is a tag Vegeta and Trunks, or even just tag Goku and Trunks, right, from when they're fighting Rose, when they swap kind of back and forth in their fight. That would be kind of cool too, but, you know, this is what they decided to go with, which is not bad. There's a lot of great animations not yet used by both of these characters. The God Kamehameha, for example, has not yet been used at all, nor has the Kinkai fists that Goku does when he goes Kaioken, and he can only use his legs because he's all beat up. So I mean, there's some good stuff they can do, or if like Vegeta gets his entrance animation where he pulls Rose up by the hair and just beats him down like that. I mean, there's good stuff here, like, don't get me wrong. Let's see, let's move on to the next one here. Bean, having a feeling, I have a feeling if they were fusing, it would just be 10th anniversary LRs again. Hopefully they'll cook with both, especially for Black and Zamasu. Also, right, he really needs these two injected into his veins. I get that. I get people not wanting them to be 10th anniversary repeats. Yeah, that would definitely be a disappointment if they end up, like, if Vegito Blue ended up just being exactly like Super Vegito. That would be no fun. So mixing up can be interesting. So I definitely get where that's coming from. Moving on, Dr. Pitch, early thoughts. I don't care if they don't stay fused, if their base form is great and the active is just the icing. More teams due to the tag mechanic is always a W. They will either have a new category lead or be super extreme as a side skill. I do like, so this is something I wanted to talk about in a separate video, but them getting a new type of lead, or even just being a further extension of the super extreme. Like I've talked about, I noticed they didn't mention either of these being the Dokkan Fests, which is typically what they do at this reveal, which means we don't know who the Carnival is and we don't know who the Dokkan Fest is. But it's possible we could get both of them have like a sub, you know, maybe 180 and maybe if we're lucky a 200% super or extreme class lead. Like that would be amazing to get, because like having that kind of a broad leader skill even at 200%, even though we're in a 220 meta, would still be really good. So You know, that's a cool idea here. Moving on, Benny. Hoping they're not Dokkan Fest so we can possibly get Daima for part 2. Them not fusing is a bummer, but as long as Zamasu and Goku Black are good, I can't complain. Aside from that, we really need to more Daima in the game ASAP. I don't disagree with that. I feel like this was the point to do it, and them kind of skipping out on that. I think that's a lot. Honestly, that might be playing a much larger factor as to why people are very disappointed in this not being a fusing Vegito. So, you know, because a lot of people were expecting Daima, and then you're going to go and give us a little bait and switch Vegito. I get that. Zapture here, personally disappointed that they don't fuse. To me, this means they have to make them strong kit-wise. I seriously don't want another No Limits incident, plus the last time we had a unit like this was Listan referring to Fizz Ultimate Gohan that had Beast as an active, and it didn't turn out the best, alright? This is all more directed at the blues rather than black, especially because I wanted a cool Vegito blue, alright? I need him to hit in ways that are equal to the celebration of this size, especially since the first global Dokkan celebration we have sings. Perhaps Daima gets more attention. Yeah, get where they're coming from, right? A lot of people are still stuck on AHL Vegito Blue, right? He's good old reliable. When people want attention on YouTube and want to start ranting, right, they go to AHL Vegito Blue, right? That's just what it is. Because, I mean, let's be honest, there were a lot of problems with their kits, and so Vegito fans, right, really you know, needed another W to make up for that. So completely understand where that's coming from, right? Not wanting to have something like that happen again. And it feels like having these guys not fuse is along those lines. So I can get where a person might take issue with that. But not having Zamasu fuse, right, being okay with. To me, honestly, that's a little strange considering Zamasu technically can't unfuse, right? This is more on the topic of just like sticking with the canonity of things, right? Vegito defusing, okay, fine, whatever. That makes sense, right? We've had plenty of Vegito fusing cards. We've had plenty of good Vegito cards, and you know, canonically, Vegito defuses after an hour or shorter because of their power level. However, Zamasu literally cannot defuse because you know, they're both Kais, right? The inability to defuse is what causes the degradation, and ends up being corrupted. So it's like, an active skill fusion for Zamasu just literally doesn't make sense in terms of what Zamasu is going to be. So to me, like, people being okay with that one versus Vegito, that is strange because technically he's the one who shouldn't defuse. All right, but all in all, do like the responses. Most people kept it pretty chill here, right? Just sort of expressing what they wanted to see. I do think I had a couple responses on this video, on the actual. No, I guess I didn't. I thought I did. Okay, so there goes the Twitter post. So let's go ahead. Let's hop on over to the. Let's hop on over to the community post. Now, I want to throw it out here, guys. If you are commenting on our community post, I have turned on replies and GIFs and images. So you guys should be able to add those now when you guys comment there. So from now on, whenever we do these community posts or whenever you see a community post from me, feel free, add GIFs, add images, engage, right? That's just what we do with this. It'll make us, you know, our own little community that we can engage on outside of Twitter and Discord. I mean, obviously we have Discord, but you know, this is still a good place to do it too if you're not on Discord. So moving on, let's take a look. We got Freaky CC here, really worried that it's going to lead to more chaos within the community for the next month and a half. The community is really toxic, even more so during the campaigns that we all should feel excited for. We should give the celebration a chance and enjoy the cool part. No play instead of no playable Vegito, worst celebration. I get that. I definitely kind of agree with this, right? Not necessarily judging here, but I do kind of agree, right? And this is what I was worried about with them not being, with these guys not being fusion, is that this idea of no playable Vegito will overshadow the entirety of the celebration. We don't know what the celebration looks like. We don't know how good these guys are going to be, but we're already focusing on this aspect right here. And it is a bummer. So I completely get where they're coming from, especially coming off, right, Tao and Tien celebration, where most people were not happy about that celebration. I mean, Tao and Tien were really good, but you know how DB Saga doesn't get a lot of attention from Dokkan, and when it does, people, you know, don't really enjoy it. They kind of tune out. And then with Blue Kaioken Goku from Golden Week not being as good as people had hoped, right, that really had kind of left Dokkan in a state where people are, you know, not as, you know, not as excited about the way things are being handled. And then, you know, dropping a character who only fuses for one turn, I can see why people would be upset. Moving on, Dokkaner M, I like it. They definitely need representation of these two cards, especially the Goku Black arc is so good. The actives thing is fine for me if it's a tag unit from a really great fight, especially if a new player have these units with the special fusion, active millions of animations. That would be sick. Also, the tag mechanic as the main focus is so good for the future of the game and the quality of animations when I posted. So this is where I kind of talked, you know, just prodding questions, trying to understand their thinking, right? So I'll pull this up in a second, but I had actually done a post here. Well, actually, we'll just pull it up now here. So I had done a post the other day, if we could just scroll down here, about the possibility of the focus on tag. And I even talked a little bit about YouTube. So let's just scroll down. It's a ways down. I posted it like 5 days ago. All right. Let's see. Where is it? Here it is. Yeah, so I had posted... That's not the post. Where is it? Here it is. So I had posted this theory, right, back when we were still trying to figure it out, like what was the theme, right? And one of my theories was actually the focus of the celebration is the tag units. And a lot of people were not fond of this idea, right? Saying that it's obviously this or it's obviously Daima, as we hadn't quite figured out that it was Future Saga yet, although a lot of people were kind of assuming along those lines when I did post this, right? But a lot of people weren't fond of the idea of focusing on tags, right? Yeah, I had even suggested, right, a Goku and Vegeta from GT that don't fuse, and that people did not like that idea. And so it's just, I mean, it's interesting that there is a big switch up now, and a lot of people sort of repeated the idea, right? We need something like a fusing Vegito or Gogeta 4 or Gogeta Blue. We need this because Dokkan is not doing well. I mean, we did do a video showing that that wasn't necessarily true. That was merely sort of anecdotal, but monetarily, Dokkan was actually doing pretty on par for where it is. But a lot of people were repeating this idea. We needed Vegito. So I was curious, right, how in spite of that, they would still be like, okay, well, I don't care. And the Dokkaner responds with crazy animations, flexibility during the fight support, DR, and defense. Also, what if Fusion's actives, the strongest actives in history, doing like the biggest damage numbers we've seen. So, all right. So for them, it's more about the animations and the types of things they can do with the support and defense. And so, yeah, I get that. As long as they play heavy into that, I get that. That could be very, very, you know, that could be very good for the teams, especially because they're going to link very well with the EZA LR gods. So giving any kind of support, if they do, as well as providing those great links for them, I mean, that's going to make them a very powerful card. And so the only thing I am concerned about here is, right, people are like, well, the active skill is going to be very strong. And we've seen that there is a limit to how strong these actives can be, right? Right now, currently, Gogeta 4 kind of has the biggest one currently. I think Tien's comes pretty close too. Even the gods are a little bit lower, but their sort of active skill, right? And theirs comes in the active skill turn, right? Like not just doing the active skill, but their full turn, including counters for G4, right? Like, their damage just does not match as Super Vegito. So, right, it's going to be really hard to make this active skill hit hard, right? Even on Tien's best turn, right, like stacked up to like 300 million, he's still with that active only taking out a quarter of Vegito's health bar, right? Whereas like on one single active skill turn, Tech Vegito can literally one turn Vegito or Gogeta. Like, that's just, it's going to be hard to match that kind of power. And I mean, I'm okay if they don't really beat him, if they just let Vegito be the strongest, but given the ones that are currently available, I can't see it being too much stronger than those. So it'll be interesting to see how that plays out. All right, we got Doc here. You think it's a little worrying and funny that some are already saying the celebration sucks without seeing the kids or Easy A's. Yeah, I do think that that's a little too far. We don't know how good they are. We don't even know what the rest of the celebration is going to have, right? Even if they're terrible, this is still a 1,500 stone celebration. You're still walking out of this with a net positive, right? So yeah, I kind of agree here. It's a bit too early to jump the gun to say the whole celebration sucks. We don't even know what part 2 is yet, right? For all we know, it could be a Beast Gohan situation where he comes in and just makes up for the whole celebration. All right, I hope I'm saying this right, Keen. Honestly, you think it'd be pretty good, even though you're not as hyped right now. You just want Dokkan to be enjoyable to play, and it's gotten to the point this year where the anniversary has been since the anniversary has been really dry, and you don't think they're wrong for trying to just throw fusions left and right. I will say they could have made Zamasu and Rose fusion just for more hype, but I don't want to bash anything before seeing consent. So I appreciate the pragmatism here. Yeah, I do think Rose and Zamasu not fusing and only having an active makes very, very little sense canonically, so maybe they should have at least fused, but I do appreciate the pragmatism, so good job, Keen. Frederick here. Hey, first time being in one of your community post engagement videos. Honored to give my 2 thoughts. Hey, appreciate it, man. I just appreciate you that you comment. So, hype for the celebration. Not here to take sides because it's going to change what we get and or don't. So let's get that out of the window. I know a lot of players are disappointed, and the talk about the units is negative and outrageous, but peace will soon cease. Just give it time. However, we'll say that they could have made them 4-turn fusions like they did for the 10th anniversary HL Gogeta and Tech Vegito. And yes, 100% without question, they could have easily gotten that done. Probably been 4-turn with counters or something crazy. We haven't seen like an all target in the fusions. Imagine that would have been fire. But hey, decided to go with the old method we've seen before, like the Tech Gods, for example. Ever since their Easy A, we made use of their 1-turn active into Gogeta, and it packs a pretty huge punch in those hard events. Also, wouldn't fall asleep on these units considering we haven't seen their kits just because they're days away. We're going to reveal us, so it is bittersweet that we didn't get fusions for 4 turns. You can argue that, but it is really sweet we got active skills. You can argue that, but number one thing we saw coming was for them to be tag units in exchange. That is correct. I think we all expected them to be tag exchange. Plus, maybe they wanted to approach where they do receive Easy A's, they can hit harder with their active skills. The main theme of breaking through with lots of events sounds like Diamond could be involved in part 2 or entirely something else. Find out next time on Dragon Ball Z Dokkan Battle. So again, do appreciate the pragmatism here. Again, I'm kind of with you. I'm hoping they can broaden the breakthrough idea to include Daima. I think a lot of people are thinking that too. However, them specifically mentioning they wanted the focus to be on tags, I'm not sure if that part extends to part 2. We'll have to see. Now, again... So Frederick here does want to see them possibly have be like 4 turns, kind of like the 10th anniversary. I know we've seen others that say they didn't want them to be exact copies, and we have seen other examples like the Tech Gods who only have 1-turn actives. And yes, that is true. So they can be good, and it all just depends on how well they handle the passive buffs to help out that active skill, right? I would say that if they are going to match any level of what we're seeing currently of the hardest hitting LRs, these guys are gonna have to be stackers. right? For one, especially attack and defense, or especially attack, right? Defense obviously would make things better, but I mean, they could get around defense other ways. We saw that with Tien, right? But definitely they would have to stack attack if they want this to hit as hard as some of the hardest hitting supers in, or active skills in the game. Now, I hope I'm saying this right. Mini Milky here. My monkey brain wished for Goku and Vegeta to fuse. Understand that. I know a lot of people were expecting that. Yosup, they did us hella dirty. This might be the first time he skips a major celebration. Should have been Daima, but okay. I was okay with a new VB, but now they want to hit us with that. Yeah, I mean, I understand the disappointment that some people are having here. A lot of people were expecting Vegito Blue, so I do understand the disappointment. All right, King Arachniel, I have a feeling that Goku and Vegeta will be decent, and people are just being drama queens. I don't know if I'll go that far to say that, but I do agree that I do think Goku and Vegeta will still be good regardless. Danan Town, the theme, as usual, feels confusing. Breaking through, I don't feel anything such as shown in the theme here, unless the animations for the blue duo include Goku going Kaioken and Vegeta's Goku Black Pummel, which I find it strange that they don't put in the trailer. If this is the theme, it's kind of disappointing. I wouldn't mind a non-fusing Vegito as much, but Zamasu not fusing really bummed me out. But overall, the celebration's chosen characters make me feel like this was rushed. They really should be fully aware that similar headliners were used 2 years ago, so I'm genuinely wondering why. Not mad, just puzzled. I do agree here, and I can understand re-hitting the Future Saga. I mean, there are, as we saw, there's a ton of future Easy A's and Super Easy A's on the docket for this year, so they were gonna have to do Future Saga somehow. But the choice of characters does seem a little odd, especially if they're going the non-fusing routes. As far as the breaking through bit here, again, they do clarify it's breaking through to defeat or to save the future, and that's kind of how they're justifying, just basically breaking through sort of impossible odds is the way I would look at it, right? It sort of felt like they were not going to be able to defeat Zamasu, so I could see like that's kind of what they're going for here, I guess. It's a very broad theme, which means I think they will be able to open it up for part 2. So, all right, that is all the responses on YouTube here. Love every single one of them. A lot of you guys have been very pragmatic about your approach here, and I do really appreciate that, right? Let's wait for the kits. Let's see how good they actually end up being here. So, all right, all that's left is to swap on over to Discord here. So let's hop in to our community response server, and let's take a look. I put the same post out on Discord here, so let's see what we have to say. A lot of these guys did respond on Twitter, but a few didn't. So we have Ichigo here. So this is actually peak, no issues. The celebration is guaranteed to hit with the Easy A's and sub Easy A's. I don't know about this one. Dokkan tends to be forgetting about sub Easy A's, but no, that's right. There are a lot of great Easy A's, like Easy A, Vegeta, and Trunks, for example. They should be Easy A in here. So I mean, there's some good things coming. All right, it's neat. Unlike Beastless, it says it's actually great. We got Vegito this year and don't want to burn out the reversible exchange fusion units, so it makes sense. For Zamasu, I see a bit of the hate, but it's not annoying like this, the greatest fumble like Beast Gohan. Yeah, Beast Gohan is sort of very different in this situation, right? Because we didn't have Beast at the point when they were revealed, and he was advertised as Beast Gohan with the initial reveal. If you remember from that New Year's trailer, they showed the sort of transformed card arts, which is not actually a transformed card art, right? It's literally just the LR. It's literally just the LR art playing out, right? The animated art. Like, it's not actually a transformation. So I can see that was definitely disappointing for a lot of people. So it's a little bit different. We've got, in this case, them not being fusion, we've got a ton of Vegito units, right? And, you know, probably going to get a super easy A for 1 or 2 here. So I can see why it's a little bit different here. Okay, Magico Uni here, right? Perfect for the villain side, almost perfect for the villain side. And Zamasu is still good. Wonderful animations if they don't fumble the kit. With the new Goku Black and Zamasu, we are set up for good extreme sight. Vegito Blue has no presence, on the other hand, and no usable Vegito Blue in the meta for Future Saga is crazy. Y'all had one job. Yeah, so regardless of Rose and Zamasu, right, not fusing, they're still gonna set up great for a lot of the good villain teams, right? Especially if they lead something like Successors or Inhuman Deeds or Worldwide Chaos. Like, these are all great teams for villain units. So you know, they could easily, right, become top tier, especially if Int Merge Zamasu ends up easying as well. So there could be a good place for extreme units on their team. The only issue would end up being if they decide to hold back on some of the EZAs, right? Vegito Blue, on the other hand, I mean, would do the same thing for a lot of superclass units. Again, as I mentioned, they will be the perfect linking partner for the LR gods. The only thing with them is that, I mean, no matter how they build their team, it's gonna really end up just floating back into also having the 10th anniversary LRs on their team. And that is a shame. I feel like they won't really be able to stand out on their own, but that's just me. All right, I want Tren here. This is Peak, always preying on Vegito's downfall. Okay, so he's actually happy that it's a non-Vegito. Okay, he just wants a good team for full power Frieza, and he's set for part 1. So again, as I said, right, Frieza could totally find himself a spot on Rose's team if they do it right. Hina Lahina here. All right, shout out to you for also being from Hawaii. There's a chance there's a Trunks cameo, so I'm happy. Yeah, I made the same tweet, right? Trunks showed up in the card art. That's all that matters. Very, very hype. Akil, more aligned with this than the alternative, right? Fine with both Zamasu, really does it for me. Bummer no Potara, but like Zamasu will easy A's, fill the void nicely. Fair enough. All right, Hard Striker here, personally fine with Tag Zamasu and Gogeta Blue. The last rep they got was the old tag, and getting a new one was a matter of time. When it comes to the actives, it makes sense, and I'm not too bummed because they have reps all over Dokkan, one that might easy A, and with the Saiyan Duo, I have concerns. The Saiyan Duo seems to be based on many things that are all over Dokkan itself. They got a rep 2 years ago in Worldwide 2023. They have elements of LR, Vegeta, and Trunks. First impression, it feels like they're depending too much on what's already there in Dokkan. I don't blame Dokkan for having active Vegeta only for now, but they can only be original so many times. I'd rather have this celebration another year from now, but hey, what's done is done. Not excited for this celebration. Fair enough, I get that, right? Like, looking at the card arts and how they described it and what they've shown so far for the duo, it seems like they're sort of rehashing stuff we already have, right? Rather than pull in something new. But again, we've seen so little of what they actually do, but there is a lot they can pull from to make these guys original. Again, the God Kamehameha has not really been done singularly for Goku. Neither has the King Kai Fists. Vegeta, we have almost no good animations of him from that celebration, from that arc. So, I mean, there are things they could do, but if they resolve themselves to just focusing on elements of units that they've already used, like the Blue Duo or like the Vegeta and Trunks, that would be a shame for this card. Okay, Charisma, you'll break it into 2 parts since there's some nuance to this. Timing. With Dokkan pretty late to the party compared to other Dragon Ball games with Daima and Super Saiyan 4 Goku into the game. Anything that isn't Daima or Super Saiyan 4 related will likely get more scrutiny since Daima is the only unused non-manga source of material available we have to work with. Future Saga in particular doesn't make a compelling case for the celebration because since it hasn't been a full 2 years since WWC Future Saga Celebration. I know that some people were excited for Future Saga GDC and want a new playable Vegito Blue because of WC 2023 was hard to get out and even in its heyday, but that isn't going to happen with this one. All right. balance. Although the timing affects my opinion on this GDC the theme the most, I have seen a few interesting arguments regarding balancing of these tag units. During the presentation, they mentioned that GDC characters are experimental, so they are still trying to figure out a good balance for the tag characters. They attempted to balance the 10th anniversary of fusions by limiting the turn of fusions, but they were still clearly overpowered, and an emphasis was placed on building up the fusions rather than focusing on the tag mechanics itself. It's possible that the GDC characters will be the template for tag characters going forward if they strike the right balance. So I do like this. This is a great approach. I appreciate it, Charisma. Really, really good explanation here. But I'm with you 100% on the timing, right? Future Saga is a celebration that needed to be done. There were EZAs on the docket that needed to be addressed, right? There's a lot of Future Saga EZAs, for example. So a celebration was coming, but that timing of choosing this over something that Dokkan is the only game to not have yet, Daima Super Saiyan 4 Goku, it does seem like an odd choice, especially when it was done so recently. I do like this idea, and I did mention that, right, about this being the focus of the celebration, being the tags, and that they are trying something new, and I do appreciate that. So, good explanation, Charisma. So moving down, I won't get too much into the discussion I had with people, so I'll just focus on new responses. So we did get Zapture's response on Twitter, and let's see, do we have any other responses here? These are mostly just back and forths. Ichigo, Tren, no. Okay, so no new responses there. All right, that's good. So yeah, I just don't want to, don't want to bore everybody with the long conversations I had going back and forth. If you really want to talk to me like in detail where I give my explanations, please feel free to join the Discord. Link is in the description down below. But if you really want to talk to me about it at length, please join the Discord server. We have plenty of discussions all the times, and so for the most part we keep it pretty respectful. No, I shouldn't even say for the most part, we do keep it pretty respectful. So I do love all of these responses that you guys put in. So now it's time for my thoughts on this. Now I did kind of respond to Toonrami's post where I did lay out a bit of my thoughts here. So let me get this out of the way. I am sure that both Goku and Vegeta will be good. Rose and Zamasu will be good. As we said, these are experimental and likely to be the templates moving forward for non-fusing tag units, as Charisma so elegantly put it. And that is correct. They will be good. But with that said, all right, I like the idea of tags, and I like the idea of tags as a celebration. All right, there's a lot that can be done with that. But if they were choosing to not fuse and utilize a theme centered slightly around the tags, I would have personally preferred them to go a more unique route, as I pointed out in my theory here. Obviously, these were just random picks, although if I'm being honest, Resurrection of F, Goku, and Vegeta were probably the best choice for this. If I'm being honest, like if they were going to go with a blue Goku and Vegeta that didn't fuse, this was the way to do it. Resurrection of F is on its 10-year anniversary, by the way. Those of you who did not know, they would have been a great way to do it, and it would have filled the same niche, right? And there's a lot that hasn't been taken from it. In fact, there's very little that has been taken from this fight for Goku and Vegeta. So, I mean, to me, I feel like it would have been better to branch out and try something different, right? Especially if they were going to go the non-fusing route. Secondly, we've heard nonstop, right? For the last month, I would say, we've heard nonstop about what is hype for this celebration, what's not, who can fill this celebration, who can't, what easy A's make it work, who doesn't have the easy A's to make it work. And the end of these discussions always ended the same. We need fusions to bring Dokkan back because Saiyan Saga wasn't hype, because ROF wasn't hype, because Namek doesn't work. We need Vegito Blue. We need Gogeta, right? We need these characters because Dokkan is not doing well. And then Dokkan goes ahead and doesn't do it. Because the reality is, right, to them, to the devs, these things don't matter. They seem to matter more to us. They have their plan. They had their meeting. They made their decision, and they went with it to do whatever they see fit. Which kind of brings me back to my point. Like, if they were gonna do that, then I would have preferred them to be more unique. I think defaulting to non-fusing units here, especially Blue Goku and Vegeta, like, I'm gonna be honest, to me, and I know this is not true for everybody, there isn't much they do that is super hype. Like, you get the couple moments here, like, again, the God Kamehameha is pretty good. The max power God Kamehameha that he does. Vegeta and Trunks' Gallic Gun, Father-Son Gallic Gun, but that's already a unit. Vegeta's Pummel against Rose kind of works, but it doesn't really work as a card animation, right? So there are hype things that they do, but in general, I mean, there's not much that you can be like, this holds an anniversary slot that they do. You know what I mean? Right? And that's what this is supposed to be, right? So them not fusing here, I think that, to me, that kind of seems like a big missed opportunity if they were going to choose not to fuse and go for something a little more hype, right? Especially after having to deal with nonstop, you know, things like Saiyan Saga not being hype, right? Because to me, I don't see how you could say Goku's God Kamehameha is more hype than the ×4 Kamehameha versus Grade 8 Vegeta and his Gallic Gun, right? That's just, right? Well, I shouldn't say Grade 8. Saiyan Saga Vegeta and his Gallic Gun. Like, that's an iconic beam clash. Not as iconic as the 2 attacks Goku does against Zamasu before they decide to fuse, right? Like, there are moments that work as like quick active skills or as support memories or as intros, but in terms of attacks, there's only so much you can do. So to me, I feel like it's a huge missed opportunity to go a different route. And this goes for Zamasu too. As I mentioned, Zamasu and Rose having a fusion active skill literally makes no sense. Literally makes no sense. They can't. They're Kais. They literally can't defuse, right? That whole idea of them not defusing is what leads to the degradation of the fusion and ends up, right, creating corrupted merge Zamasu. And, right, it plays out even more so in the manga, right? So, like, it doesn't... It seems like a really odd choice considering they said they wanted tags to be the focus. To me, there were better choices. I'm sure the units will be good. I'm sure the active skill is going to hit hard. I don't think it's going to come anywhere close to what Vegito is doing. It might hit close to what the gods are doing. I don't think it's going to come close to I don't think it's going to come close to Super Saiyan 4 Gogeta, because his active skill turns also include counters, which are very easy to pull off. So, I mean, but it'll do some pretty good damage, I'm sure. And same thing with Rose and Zamasu. Like, I'm sure both units will be amazing. I'm sure the celebration will be amazing. I'm just a bit disappointed that they didn't, they try to branch out a little bit here and try something new. But I do appreciate, I will say, I do appreciate the effort to try something new. I just think that Future Saga was probably not the best choice. Now, I will say something here that I did, I think I closed it out already, but I did make a post here earlier today that I do think it is possible, right? It's not guaranteed, and this is just a hunch, that the whole idea of them not fusing is based on the wording of Omatsu, where he specifically states that they will fuse into... Goku has an active skill where they will fuse into Vegito and launch a powerful attack. That would seem to... that is the implication. That statement implies to most people that it is an active skill attack. However, right, there have been instances where Omatsu's translations haven't been the best, or he has straight up been coy with his words. So it could be a situation where they're just not revealing the art yet, and this was just bad wording on Omatsu's part. It's not the first time it's happened, but I mean, I'm not I'm not going to count it out till it's out, right? And this is kind of something that Joe comment. I think Joe Saiyan also pointed this out too. It's like, we don't know till we know. And the whole idea of them not fusing currently is all based on a YouTuber's translation. Not to say that they're incorrect, but there can be mistranslations. So we're left, you know, we're kind of left on assumption currently until the 5th, when they decide to finally reveal the units kits and their animation. So just a thought. I don't know if there's any merit to it, but it is there. Just sort of some background things to ponder out. Is it a chance that they just chose not to reveal the art and save it later? So guys, that is it for our community response on this. This was a long one, and I love that every single one of you took the time to really put your thoughts out there. A lot of you were very pragmatic in your approach here and brought up some really great points. I think a lot of you guys, especially here in the comments on YouTube here, you guys did a really good job of being very pragmatic with this. So I appreciate every single person who did make their comments known, and I look forward to doing this again. We'll do another one once we actually know what the units do, and we'll kind of see how our opinions change. And because that's the thing I like, you know, a lot of people like to do these community reactions and they focus on the negative reaction, but let's try this. Let's see how our reactions change once we see how they do, or if they remain consistent, right? I would like to do that. Let us know what you think of that in the comments. So guys, that's it for the video. If you like the video, make sure you hit that like button and subscribe to the channel if you have not already. And in the comments down below, let us know, all right, if you did not get to respond, right? Let us know your thoughts on this whole non-fusing Vegito situation. And if I did hit you up, right, let us know. Do you have any other thoughts you want to add, right? Would love to hear from you guys. So guys, that's it for the video. If nothing else, thanks for watching, and aloha.